Welcome to today's edition of the Rush 24/7 podcast.
Righto, back we are, ladies and gentlemen. El Rushbo here at the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, the nation's most listened to radio talk show by far. Great to have you with us. Telephone number is 800-282-2882. The email address, elrushbo@eibnet.com. So, Trump has gone there. Trump has gone to all of this Clinton conspiracy stuff. And I got people say, why is he doing this, Rush? Why doesn't Trump just stick to the issues? He's got this Make America Great 3 theme going. He's got the wall in Mexico. He's got a why is he deviating from it? And I want to remind you, I predicted this. I got nothing to do with the Trump campaign. Zilch, zero, nada. A lot of other people do, but I don't. And I told everybody way back when that Trump's going to go where nobody else goes with the Clintons. He's going to go there. And it's not unusual for Trump to rely on tabloid data for his attacks. He's been doing it since the campaign began. You got to remember, there's lots of people that read those things. There's lots of people that think those things are gospel. I mean, it is what it is. It may not make you happy. It may make you disappointed for the future of our human race and so forth, but it's not unusual. Tabloids, it's no different than E! Entertainment Television or TMZ or what have you. I mean, they have various locations on the strata, but that kind of gossip, what have you, it's always going to have a big audience. And Trump is getting to it, I think, early for a reason. He's getting it out there. He told everybody he was going to get it out there, and he's getting it out there. Nobody else will touch it. Nobody else has wanted to touch this stuff ever, any of it. You know, I had a story in the stack yesterday. I suspect that somebody was in here monkeying with my desk last night because I left a whole stack of stuff here from yesterday's show that I didn't get to, as I do every day. I left it there, and there's a stack there, but it's from 2 weeks ago. It's not from yesterday. And I said, what the heck happened? Cleaning crew not engaged enough I can't lay it off on them. Anyway, even though the stack is here, I remember there was a story in the stack. I don't remember where it was from. I'm not sure the source, but it was a substantive drive-by media house. And the point was in any presidential campaign, at this stage of the presidential campaign, there is always a staple that is part of the campaign that is not part of this one. And that is criticism of the sitting president. Evidence. Go back to 2008. The entire Obama campaign was about how rotten George W. Bush was. Remember that? I mean, it was incredible. Everything Obama stood for, he told us, was the opposite of George W. Bush. From the Iraq War, to the war on terror, to the economy, the economic collapse, you name it, George W. Bush and his regime were the entire campaign of 2008. Obama ripping into it and McCain trying in various different ways to defend it. Now, as I say, that's not unusual. It's a staple of campaigns. And in fact, the Democrats had spent the last 4 years of Bush's 2 terms doing nothing but, I mean, it's soft selling it to call it criticism. They were engaged in political manslaughter, I think, what they were doing to the Bush administration. I mean, for 4 years, the body counts in Iraq, the never-ending Bush lied, people died, Bush Hitler, movies on how to assassinate Bush, books on how to assassinate Bush. The media told us were important works of art that we needed to read, we needed to understand the rage, all this. There has been none of that about Obama at all in 8 years. The Republican Party won't go anywhere near criticizing Obama. The point of the story yesterday was that they won't even do it now. That Obama is still hands off now and due entirely to one thing, his race. There is such fear, so much fear, lingering fear of Obama's race and being called a racist that nobody's going there. Nobody on the Republican side. And in fact, the entire reason that we have Trump leading this campaign right now is precisely because of what Obama has done in the last 7.5 years. Now, Trump is focusing on Hillary Admittedly, she is the opponent, will be, and that makes total sense. And he's focusing on things that Hillary did while she was Secretary of State and so forth, and things Hillary did when her husband was president, but strangely missing is anything about Obama. And I have to admit, it's frustrating to me. I don't care what color he is, or gender, or trans, or any president of the United States. The guy has attempted to subvert the U.S. Constitution every day of this presidency, it seems like. And nobody's willing to go there very much. Trump does some, but it's amazing how insulated the Obama presidency is. I mean, you can. There are all kinds of ways to criticize the substantive policy initiatives that have come from this administration that have given us this rancid economy. I mean, just the things happening with open borders that continue to happen. Do you know now that arriving illegals are being separated into 3 different categories? Adults, children, and trans. I'm not kidding you. There's separate facilities for transgendered illegal aliens now. 1% of the illegal population, and we're making special accommodations for them. I'm not saying you zero in on that, but I mean, the point is, there's no end to this. There hasn't been any slowdown. The invasion is continuing, and Trump talks about it, of course, in the generic sense. But nobody goes directly to the source. Nobody, when talking about our rancid economy, equates it to Obama. It's the most amazing thing. The fear is palpable. Don't go there because of Obama's race. It's pure and simple. And I'll tell you this. I think the Democrats wanted to gain the same kind of advantage with Hillary, first female president, therefore make her immune to any criticism because it'd be sexist. But there doesn't seem to be any fear whatsoever on the part of anybody to go after her. The fact that she might become the first female president is irrelevant. It's not stopping anybody. But there's a gold mine of things out there. If you people upset with Trump for going after this Vince Foster type stuff that Clintons are known for in their past, and you want Trump to stick to the issues, I'm telling you, there's plenty of stuff Trump can hit on. And he probably will, but we're still early. We haven't even had the conventions yet, folks. And I do remember telling you that he was going to be the only guy to go after this Clinton stuff. And he is. And he's doing it early on in the campaign, maybe to get it out of the way and say he's done it. But he also, I think, may believe it. I still think people are having a tough time really understanding what Trump's all about even now. So out of the box, so unconventional is he and his personage, if you will, when attached to what we consider to be the norms of a political campaign, presidential or otherwise. Now, the drive-bys, they're not down with this in any way, shape, manner. For you don't do what Trump did yesterday and get with it at drive-bys. And this is something that the drive-bys are circling the wagons on, and not going to let Trump get away with it. They're, criticizing him in ways that they've kind of been hands off up to now. We have a little montage here to illustrate.
Trump's fascination with conspiracy theories continues. Trump told the Washington Post the 1993 death of Clinton family confidant Vince Foster was, quote, very fishy.
Trump is also willing to discuss some conspiracy theories.
Trump drudged up another Clinton controversy, this time the 1993 suicide of Clinton staffer Vincent Foster.
In some dark corners of the internet, I think maybe the Vince Foster story still has some currency.
To narrow the gender gap among women, you don't do it by dredging up conspiracy theories.
Once you got to Vince Foster might have been murdered, where else do you go into the land of Clinton conspiracy?
And that is mild. I mean, that's the drive-bys acknowledging it, but they're not calling Trump a kook. They're calling people that lurk in the dark corners of the internet kooks for buying into this stuff, but they're not calling Trump a kook. Now, here Trump's put together an ad. You know, this ad has a nice touch. It's got Bill Clinton, black and white photo of Clinton on the golf course with a cigar in his mouth. Nothing more said about it, just Clinton and the cigar. We have the audio. This is an Instagram page type ad. It's 15 seconds, and this is how it sounds.
I was very nervous. No woman should be subjected to it. It was an assault.
He starts to bite on my top lip, and I try to pull away from him.
And that cackle is over a screenshot of Bill and Hillary smiling or clapping with a chyron saying, here we go again. The voices in the ad, Kathleen Willey and Juanita Broderick, who said he starts to bite on my top lip and I try to pull away from him. And what's not in and by the way, that comes from the Lisa Myers interview that Juanita Broderick did on NBC. Actually televised audio on NBC. Kathleen Willey, no woman should be subjected to it. It was an assault. I remember how the Kathleen Willey stuff got started. We were doing, I don't know if Kathleen Willey, was she second term stuff or first term stuff? I forget when, but there was video. Clinton had arrived on the tarmac, some airport in Virginia. And there was this attractive woman that was seen in the camera shot. And you can see Clinton calling some guy over and talking into his ear and pointing at that woman. And we later came to learn that Clinton was asking, who was that? I'd like to meet her. And that's how the Kathleen Willey stuff got started. So I'll tell you how this stuff attaches. If Bill Clinton's out in California, he's stirring up support for Hillary in advance of the California primary. And I got an email today from somebody commenting on this. So Clinton's out there. He's telling everybody, his big audience out there, trying to get everybody worked up for the election. And he said, hey, look, I just want everybody to just relax, all right? Just relax. Everything's going to be okay. And the emails I got from people said, you know who says this to people, right? Rapists. Rapists are what? That's the first thing they say is relax. And I said, holy smokes, look at how people, out of the clear blue. So Clinton, with some people, is this Juanita Broderick story has attached itself in the minds of some people. But nevertheless, there is concern that Trump's out there focusing on all this stuff while there are bigger issues and fish to fry out there. And they're getting concerned that this kind of attention to the fringe areas of conspiracy theorydom are going to derail Trump. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just Trump following through on things that he said that he would do. Now, remember, Trump will tell you, hey, there's stuff in the National Enquirer that's been true. I mean, you have to accept it until somebody disproves it. So there's that. And I will see. Trump has not run out of substantive issues to discuss, and he's not said everything about them that there is to discuss. We'll just find out. We'll see if time goes on, if this stuff becomes a distraction and therefore a focal point for Trump, or if he just makes it like a one-off. What? Well, I don't even... Question from the official program observer, do I think young people who've never heard of this stuff are going to be intrigued by this and thus pay more attention to... Well, I'll just tell you. Let me find the... Trump is moving dramatically. The ABC, Trump surge in the polls due to a massive 36% millennial swing. Support among millennials has swung to Trump by 36%. That is huge. That would be the group of people you're talking about, right? When they find out about it. It is true. There are a lot of millennials who do not have any idea about the Clinton 90s. They were not born or they were not old enough. At the same time, that means they were not captivated by the media treatment of the Clintons, which was fawning idolatry. They were not part and parcel of that. They didn't live through it. If they did, they don't remember it. And many of them are learning about this for the first time. And you couple that with all this safe spaces stuff on campus and the fear that students have that rape is around every corner and behind every tree. I do think that it stands to be harmful to Mrs. Clinton to A lot of it. Drive-bys inoculated baby boomers from this. I mean, because of Clinton, it was taught in school that Lewinsky's are not even sex. But the people you're asking about they're not immune. They are immune to that. They've not been exposed to it. So I do think that it is possible to have a very negative Clinton impact on that group. I do. Let's take a brief time out, my friends, and we'll roll right on right after this. I'll tell you the way to look at this. If you really want to know how to look at this, it's as far as the millennials are concerned that you brought up, Donald Trump is running negative ads about Hillary. Or is Donald Trump doing the job the American media refuses to do? Is Donald Trump telling people who don't know things they don't know that the media won't tell them? Or is he engaged in just smears? And I think the odds are it's going to be seen as the opposite. I think it's going to be seen as Trump doing the job the American media and the Republican Party won't do. Look, folks, I predicted long ago that millennials would be appalled to learn about the Clintons' past. To me, that's a no-brainer, especially women millennials, and how Trump is reaching out to them, educating them. By the way, according to that ABC Washington Post poll yesterday, Trump has just swung a lot of millennials over to his side, 36% swing. Now, Clinton's support among young voters, 18 to 29, has dropped 19% since March, and Trump has gained 17% support from the same demographic group. It's a 36% swing among millennials. And here's another. What is so wrong about people being reminded of the legitimate past of Bill and Hillary Clinton? You know what? The reason why people are shocked to go, it's because the media wouldn't do it. And way back in the 90s, when the media wouldn't do it, a message is conveyed that it would be improper to discuss these things. After all, the man is our president of the United States, and his wife tried to save every American with health care. It'd be terribly bad form to do this. So the media wouldn't report on it, conveys a message that it would be uncool to talk about these things. But what is so wrong about people being reminded of the Clinton past, or in some cases being told about it for the first time? I mean, is anything in the past ever out of bounds for a Republican candidate? The media will go back 25, 30 years. The media will quote sources that are 20, 25 years old that have personal grudges and so forth in their efforts to destroy Republicans. When it comes to the Clintons, no reporting of any of this stuff ever went on. And that conveys the message that we shouldn't discuss it. So Trump comes along and discusses it, and people of a certain age go, we're not supposed to talk about this, and they get the papers. But millennials and other young people say, whoa, what's this? I want more, whoa, we didn't know this. Now, it's hard for people to think that people don't know this. You didn't know about Bill Clinton and all the women. You didn't know about Bill Clinton when he was brought. You didn't know. No, we didn't know, and they don't know. And the drive-bys clearly are not going to tell them. I mean, we heard claims about Mitt Romney giving noogies to freshmen in high school, putting his dog on the roof of the car. We don't hear a thing about the Clintons' past. Meeting and surpassing all audience expectations every day, El Rushbo, the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, always in a good mood, except when I'm not, and I tell you then. Sometimes people enjoy the show even more. Look at this. This is a story from Breitbart. New Jersey man arrested for using mirror to look up women's skirts at Target. A New Jersey man's been arrested and accused of using a mirror secreted in a basket to look up the dresses of women at a local Target store. Ocean Township, New Jersey police charged 56-year-old Julius G. Reynolds with invasion of privacy after Target department store workers said they saw him placing a basket with a mirror attached to it on the floor next to female shoppers and using the mirror to look up the dresses and skirts of unsuspecting female shoppers. Julius G. Reynolds, 56, arrested May 16th, being held at the Monmouth County Correctional Institution on a $7,500 bond. He already has a police record for such inappropriate behavior. The suspect, was arrested in 2007 for using his cell phone to take inappropriate photos of women. This guy there's a solution for his problem. Doesn't need to go mirrors and baskets anymore. Just needs to change the way he identifies. Anyway, he has a criminal history, including credit card fraud, drug offenses, and one conviction of child endangerment, and he's only being held on a $7,500 bond? New York City, this from the Daily Caller. New York City lets you choose from 31 different identities. Individuals living in New York City can choose from a minimum of 31 different gender identities, many of which allow them to fluctuate between some version or combination of male or female identities. And businesses that don't respect and accommodate an individual's chosen gender identity risk incurring 6-figure fines. Under rules implemented by New York City's Commission on Human Rights, the list of protected gender identities available online includes options like gender bender, two-spirit, third sex, androgynous, gender-gifted, and pangender. A city official speaking on background confirmed that all the listed identities are protected by the city's anti-discrimination laws, but said that the list was not exhaustive. Two-spirit individuals are Native Americans who have attributes of both men and women, have distinct gender and social roles in their tribes, and are often involved with mystical rituals. That's if you identify as two-spirit, that's who you are. Who would even know that? Who would even know that that's what the definition of two-spirit is in terms of gender identity? A transgender teacher, also in the Daily Caller, transgender teacher has been awarded $60,000 after co-workers will not call her they. A trans-masculine teacher at an Oregon elementary school has been awarded $60,000 by her school district as compensation for harassment she claims to have suffered on the job, including being referred to with the wrong pronoun. According to the Oregonian, Leo Sowell was born a woman but now prefers to identify as trans-masculine and, quote, genderqueer, unquote. After getting breast cancer in late 2014, she had her breasts amputated to create a more masculine appearance, changed her name to Leo. Once she returned to work, Sowell claims she fell victim to relentless harassment from her coworkers. She says employees persisted in calling her hurtful terms like Miss Sowell, lady, and she. That's what it says here. She says employees persisted in calling her hurtful terms like Miss Sowell, lady, and she. Now, I've already forgotten. How does this person identify? Let me go back to the beginning. A trans-masculine teacher, born a woman. Now prefers to identify as trans-masculine or genderqueer. Right, so if you identify as trans-masculine or, quote, genderqueer, unquote, then I guess you'd be offended if they called you Miss or lady or she. And that degree of offense was worth $60,000. Some teachers were even worse, Sowell said. She claimed that one teacher screamed at her in the hallway that her gender choice was offensive to God. And she said that teachers conspired to use the school's only gender-neutral bathroom so Sowell would have to wait a half hour or more to use it. The school conducted an internal investigation after Sowell complained but found no proof of harassment. Eventually, Sowell was able to cut a deal with the school to have her apologized to and awarded $60,000. So she purposely identifies as transmasculine and genderqueer. And we're supposed to just automatically know this. We're supposed to we're walking around in school minding our own business. Here comes the trans person who's self-identifying in these ways that we never heard of, and we're supposed to know it. And we see somebody who looks like a woman, we say, she, hello, miss, whatever, and it's, you have offended me, I am outraged, and they get paid off for $60,000. Moving on to Baltimore, Freddie Gray prosecutor criticized after officer acquitted. This the AP also upset. After 2 trials and 0 nada convictions, Baltimore's top prosecutor, Marilyn Mosby, is facing criticism that she moved too quickly to file charges against 6 officers in the death of Freddie Gray without first ensuring there was enough evidence to bring them to bear. Even the judge overseeing the cases said the state failed to prove its case on any of the Is this really AP? Who hacked this website? When has the AP or anybody else in the drive-bys cared more about evidence when it comes to social justice? I don't believe this. The AP's actually concerned here that no evidence? It's never but the evidence. It's the seriousness of the charge. Evidence never matters, except now it does. So she went too soon, didn't have the evidence. She never did have the evidence. That's the point. This never was about evidence. This is a railroad job to begin with. It was about everything but evidence. It had objectives that had nothing to do with evidence. The cop made a wise decision foregoing a jury trial, choosing a bench trial with just the judge, who delivered his verdict in the racially charged case before a packed courtroom yesterday. Noticeably absent, however, was Mosby. She didn't show up for the reading of the verdict. She was present in December when Officer William Porter trial hung jury and a mistrial was declared. After announcing charges against the officers last May, Mosby did not shy from the spotlight. She posed for magazine photos. She sat for TV interviews. She even appeared on stage at a Prince concert in Freddie Gray's honor. Oh, yeah, she went all A-list on everybody. She just bought into it hook, line, and sinker. And now that the verdicts are coming and going against her, she can't be found. Meanwhile, the Reverend Sharpton is not happy. I knew this was going to happen. I referenced this yesterday. The following is a statement from Ebony Riley, Washington, D.C. Bureau Chief of the National Action Network. Quote, we are disappointed in the decision of the court, but unfortunately not surprised, as we have seen throughout the years. When officers opt for a trial by judge rather than by a jury, acquittal is the result. We've been through this with Sean Bell and far too many other cases in the past. It's exactly the reason we are calling for lowering the bar for federal prosecution and greater involvement of the federal government in cases like this. In federal court, a jury trial cannot be waived without the consent of the prosecution. And we believe that is a fairer, more just process. We continue to stand with the Gray family, blah, 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 blah. So the Reverend Sharpton and his group are now demanding that crimes like this can never again be tried by a judge. That's what they're demanding. Even a black judge. So it becomes clear, real justice is the last thing these people want. The dirty little secret of the civil rights movement. The last thing they want is justice. Because they just got it, and they're not happy. Hang on, I'm waiting for something to print. Just a second. There it is. I got it. Now we get to start on the phones here. Because what I just printed is going to relate to the first call here. This is Renee in Corpus Christi, Texas. Renee, you're first today. Great to have you on the program. Hello.
Thank you. Rush, what an honor. If I sound nervous, it's because I am. You're such a giant. And thank you for taking my phone call.
You do not sound nervous at all, and I'm very appreciative of your kind words.
Well, thank you so much. Rush, I'm calling because I am a Hispanic woman, and I just want everyone to know that those polls are totally wrong. You know, there's more people, more Hispanic people that are for Trump for the exact reason that you're talking about. We're tired of the wussies of the GOP not calling Clinton on anything for years. They've never done that, and Trump is popular exactly for that. And I hope that all your callers and all your fans that are listening take that into consideration.
Renee, hang on. Just what polls are you talking about here?
People say, well, he's getting tawdry or whatever. Well, you know what? You are absolutely correct earlier in that.
I got confused because you started telling me how much Hispanics like Trump, and I hadn't seen a poll. I've seen a poll that Asians. Trump's not doing well with Asians, but I didn't see it about Hispanics yet. So, but you're saying that it's good that Trump's going after the tawdry stuff because he's the only guy who will. Somebody has to, and the Republicans haven't.
That is correct. Yes.
It doesn't make It doesn't make you nervous. It doesn't make you think Trump is doing himself some damage by doing it. You're supportive of it.
Well, I mean, I'm like most people. To be honest with you, I like Trump. He wasn't my first choice, but I mean, I think he's the only one that can beat her. He's not afraid of saying what's really true, and the GOP is. But if I may, I'd like to make really one of the main points that I've been wanting to get to you for the last 2 months.
Have at it.
Is that people that are very disappointed, the people that were for Cruz, and of which I was one of them. My preference was Cruz, but we've got Trump, and I have no problems with him whatsoever. But I want to remind everyone, and I have a lot of friends like myself, that Cruz would have never gotten as far as he did, nor would have Rubio, had Trump not thrown his name into the ring, because we were programmed to vote for Jeb Bush, and Jeb Bush could never have beat Hillary. But all of my friends say the same thing. Had it not been for Trump, Cruz and Rubio would have not gotten as far.
Interesting theory. Let's stop for a moment and think about this. There was that PAC. I forget the name of the PAC. Mike Murphy ran the PAC, GOP consultant. $115 million raised for Jeb. Jeb was, before this whole thing began, he was the GOP presumptive nominee. Everybody in the establishment, it was a done deal. And remember, let's remember, one of Jeb's objectives was to win the nomination by losing the base. You remember that? What that meant was that the Republican establishment finally going to win this nomination, and the base of the party was not going to be happy. They were not going to have been a factor. That money was going to be how they were going to do it. They were going to divide all the conservative opposition to Jeb, making sure that no conservative candidate got anywhere near enough votes to win. That money was going to be used to promote Jeb and rip into conservatives, and Jeb was going to be the nominee because of that money, the old political playbook and rules. Now, her theory here is that had Trump not entered the race, that's what would have happened, and that Cruz and Rubio would not have gotten anywhere near as far as they got. Now, that may be true. I haven't heard a whole lot of analysis of that, so I'm pondering this for the first time. And I got to be careful. I don't want to insult anybody. She's a Cruiser, by the way. You heard her say she was a Cruz supporter, but that she now likes Trump. But it's an interesting thing to think about. Imagine that GOP primary starting last July with no Trump in it, and $115 of Jeb money being spent against Cruz. The establishment hated Cruz. They despised him. They would have not wreaked as much havoc on Rubio. Of course, Rubio had to split with Jeb anyway. But they were all factoring Jeb was going to be the guy. It didn't matter whether he was a good candidate or not. The money was going to make the difference. It didn't matter. He could be a dry ball on the campaign trail. He could be a stiff. He could be exciting. It didn't matter. The money was going to make it possible. And even after Trump got in, they still thought that. They continued to miscalculate. They thought Trump would implode. Steady Eddie. Cruz said, you know what? I'm not going anywhere near Trump. If Trump explodes, I want to get his voters, so I'm not going to rip into him. It's an interesting theory that Cruz and Rubio would not have gotten nearly as far as they did had it not been for Trump. I was mistaken about what she was going to talk about. She that was her big point. I have a story here that I was going to tack on to what I thought she was going to say. I thought her call was primarily to praise Trump for daring to go after Bill Clinton and all other stuff. Because this story I have here is going to tick so many of you off. And from thehill.com, you want the headline? You don't want to hear what this is? Ken Starr heaps praise on Bill Clinton. Let me just leave it at that, because there's not nearly enough time here before the broadcast segment ends to get into too much detail. So I'll just leave it with this. Ken Starr, now president of Baylor University in Waco, Texas, and under heavy investigation for looking the other way when black football players raped co-eds, now heaps praise on Bill Clinton. Ooh, wait till you hear this. And I have a point to make when we get there. Don't go away. And then there's this. Do you know what starts on June 1st? Hurricane season. Try this headline to listen carefully. Tropical system may brew near southeastern U.S. coast Memorial Day weekend. May brew. It's AccuWeather. We like the people at AccuWeather, but nevertheless, I have to point this out. That and much more when we return. Greetings, my friends. Welcome back. Great to have you. Rush Limbaugh, your guiding light, America's real anchorman, America's truth detector, and the doctor of democracy, all combined in one harmless, lovable little fuzzball bundle right here behind the golden EIB microphone. Telephone number is 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program, and the email address lrushbo@eibnet.com. The plot thickens. I just got an email. I got to click on a link here. I had not heard this. It goes with the Ken Starr story. Hang on a minute. If I could turn the diddle cam off for a minute because I got to do something. Hang on. I just don't like turning my back to the camera. That just looks bad, so I have to do that. If you're on the diddle cam, be patient. I'm coming right back to it. Just going to print something out here real quick. And, of course, printing is a 15-step process here. Let me just print the first page. That's all I need. All right. Now I got to wait for it to print and we're ready to go. 5, 4, 3. There's one page of it out here. This is a totally unrelated story. I just printed good. I forgot about that. Put that there. Come on, printer. Let's get going. So I can turn the diddle cam back on. Here we go. 3. Here we go. All right. Welcome back. Ken Starr reportedly being fired by Baylor University for mishandling sex scandal. He's under heavy investigation for looking the other way when black football players raped co-eds. Remember, Ken Starr, they turned Ken Starr into the in the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. By the time it was all over, Ken Starr was the sex pervert, and Bill Clinton was the Boy Scout, saving damsels in distress. Most amazing. And that was the Clinton strategy. You go after whoever's attacking you and you destroy them. You don't go after the evidence. You don't defend yourself on the evidence. You just go after the attacker and you deal it. It's right out of the Alinsky handbook, by the way. You just go after the attacker and you cream them. You destroy their reputation, their integrity, and everything else. And that's how you save yourself. And that's what they did. So here's the first part of the story. Kenneth Starr, the former independent counsel whose investigations of Bill Clinton in the 90s, that, by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the reason all of this is back in the news is Donald J. Trump. Because Donald J. Trump went there. Donald J. Trump published an ad with a picture of Bill Clinton, black and white photo, big cigar in his mouth. And then the audio testimony of Juanita Broaddrick, claiming that Clinton had raped her, tried to, and Kathleen Willey. And you're not supposed to bring that stuff up. The media didn't talk about it when it happened. You're not supposed to. And since the media didn't, it's taboo. It's the way it works. And Trump says, I don't care. I'm talking about it. So he is. And all of this is being dredged back up by design, because there's a whole lot of young voters that don't know anything about it, that weren't alive while it was happening, that weren't under the media spell and therefore under the Clinton spell when this happened. And a lot of young people who find any behavior like that of Bill Clinton to be reprehensible and indefensible. The Republicans won't go there. The drive-bys won't go there. Trump is going there. And because he did, all of this stuff is now effervesced up to the surface. So, Kenneth Starr, the former independent... By the way, keep interrupting myself because I think there are data points that you millennials need to know. Ken Starr was the epitome of boring. Ken Starr, just his personality, he was a nice guy, don't misunderstand, but in terms of his personality, was the epitome of dryball. Was the epitome of colorlessness, right? Would you agree with me on this, Mr. Snerdley? Ken Starr, soft-spoken, just almost embarrassed to be alive. And he somehow ended up with the assignment to investigate all of this. And they went after this guy and made him out to be the biggest sex pervert. They assigned James Carville, Serpent Head, to the case. And they succeeded in making Ken Starr out to be this guy wearing nothing but a trench coat, prowling the alleys of Washington after midnight, looking for unsuspecting victims. When Ken Starr's probably the kind of guy that doesn't get undressed to go to bed. So knowing that, Ken Starr, the former independent counsel, his investigations of Bill Clinton in the 1990s led to his impeachment, now heaps praise on the former president, according to the New York Times. When's the last time a New York Times had anything positive to say about Ken Starr? I mean, they may have, Starr was a warrior, maybe a judge, maybe somebody worked with judges. I forget exactly what his resume is. And they may have written some articles of praise for some legal things he's done. But when it comes to the Clintons, the New York Times did nothing but try to destroy Ken Starr, as did the Washington Post. But now, the New York Times comes to praise Ken Starr. This is Starr being quoted about Clinton. His genuine empathy for human beings is absolutely clear, Ken Starr said of Clinton during a panel discussion at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. It is powerful, said Starr. It is palpable. And the people of Arkansas really understood that about him, that he genuinely cared. The I feel your pain is absolutely genuine. President Clinton was, and perhaps still is, the most gifted politician of the baby boomer generation. He just has remarkable gifts. I mean, this is Regurgitate City. He is saying this about the man who single-handedly and systematically set out to destroy him. Again, if you weren't around in it was vicious what the Clinton War Room team did to Ken Starr. And all Starr was doing was interviewing the women. Clinton lied under oath to Ken Starr, his deputies. Ken Starr, now president of Baylor University in Waco, said that since Clinton's administration ended, the former president has worked hard to overcome the personal scandals that plagued him during his time in office. There are certain tragic dimensions which we all lament, said Starr. That having been said, the idea of this redemptive process afterwards, we have certainly seen that powerfully since Clinton left office. President Carter set a very high standard, which President Clinton clearly continues to follow. Now, here's the thing. Again, for those of you not around in the 90s or not paying attention, I pardon excuse me, those of you who were, for maybe being redundant here. But again, I need to remind you of an observation. And the reason we call the Clinton Foundation the Clinton Crime Family Foundation, there has yet to be, and there wasn't back then, there has yet to be the tell-all book about the Clinton White House. Yes, there have been a couple of FBI agents who have written things about Mrs. Clinton and so forth, but it is truly unusual that in every presidency, every White House, the butler, somebody writes a book about what a reprobate the president and his family were. It happened to Reagan. It happened to the Bushes. It happens to everybody. No such thing has happened about Bill Clinton. And Reagan and Bush were pikers compared to what Clinton did to the White House. From the fundraising to cheapening it to the Lewinsky scandal. But not only are the tell-all books not there, it is that people the Clintons have targeted for destruction turn around years later and praise them to the hilt. And it has always made us suspicious. The Clintons had 500 FBI files on people, and we've always wondered, what do they have on these people that gets them to go silent, to shut up, to not turn tail, and basically pledge eternal loyalty? It has to be something based in fear. And now Ken Starr. This is unbelievable. Now, in all fairness, back in the night, Ken Starr was not routinely and daily ripping in the Clintons. Not his personality. He didn't do that. It was just the nature of his investigation. Ken Starr never said a word. The media was camped outside his house with howitzers and all kinds of. Ken Starr would walk outside his house in the morning to get in his car and go to work, and the media would be there. Do you really want to sell cigarettes to kids, Mr. Starr? Is that really what you do in your private time? Are you really a sex pervert? And Starr would go, and he would smile and wave and stutter and then get in his car and drive off. The media camped on his front yard every day with the latest allegation from James Carville. Are you really from Mars, Mr. Starr? Did you land from Mars and you really have a deal with tobacco companies to sell cigarettes, give them away to our kids? Is that what you... I mean, we're exaggerating here, but it was that kind of stuff that Carville was accusing this guy doing. Starr was no more equipped to deal with it than Mother Teresa would have been. Well, a Mediaite, Ken Starr, reportedly being fired. This is May 12th today. Whoa. Ken Starr reportedly being fired by Baylor University or mishandling sex scandal. Indications from Baylor are that the Board of Regents are preparing to remove Ken Starr from his position as school president. This may shape up as an ironic twist of fate for the lawyer turned administrator, as his expected ouster is due to the board being unimpressed with how he handled a sex scandal at the school. Ken Starr has been the president and chancellor at Baylor for the past 6 years, during which time the school has been dealing with at least 8 major allegations of rape and assault against members of the football team. Even though Tevin Elliott and Sam Ukuwachu have been convicted of rape, the school and a near dozen other players are still facing allegations and legal actions dating all the way back to 2009. The football coach Art Briles and athletic director Ian McCaw have both been caught in the maelstrom of incidents. But according to the Horns Digest, the local paper, sources say that Starr will be the first to be removed from his position. So, Snerdley, what are we to make here? Is there any connection? Any connection to Starr being accused of looking the other way, rape allegations, football players on campus, and turning around doing a 180 and talking about how great Bill Clinton is? And, yeah, it is a strange coincidence. Clinton has grown dramatically. When he said, "I feel your pain," he really meant it, said Ken Starr. People of Arkansas knew that he meant it. Oh, well. Then there's this from Salon. Folks, I have 2 stories from Salon.com that I've got to share with you before the program ends. One of them here, it must stop now. The media cannot allow Trump to make this election about Bill Clinton. Salon's had it. Salon sending out a plea, a warning, a demand to the drive-by media to shut this Trump stuff up about Clinton. But the other Salon story, Donald Trump is going to win. This is why Hillary Clinton cannot defeat what Trump represents. Now, I'm just going to read excerpts of this story to you verbatim. And I want to see if you have the slightest idea what the writer is talking about. This is the... Did you read it? This is the most amazing attempt at intellectual discourse I have ever... It's almost like a satire. Well, let me just read the beginning just to show you what I'm talking about here. Just a little tease. The neo-fascist reaction, the force behind Trump, has come about because of the extreme disembeddedness of the economy from social relations. The neoliberal economy has become pure abstraction, as has the market, as has the state. There is no reality to any of these things that we have classically understood them. Americans, like people everywhere rising up against neoliberal globalization, want a return of social relations or embeddedness to the economy. That's the opening paragraph. Do you know what neoliberal is? I gathered you think you know, but you're not sure, so you don't want to say. Well, yeah, neocons, yeah, it's confusing. But no, neoliberal has nothing to do. It's not related in any way, shape, manner, or form to the definition of neocon. Now, neoliberalism is liberalism that believes in capitalism. And, of course, Salon hates that. They despise it. The neoliberals suck. Do you know what neo-fascism is? Do you know what the neo-fascist reaction is? Do you know what disembeddedness is? Do you know what the social relations and embeddedness of social relations as related to neoliberal economics is? Well, that's all in the first paragraph, and it all adds up to why Trump's going to win. It goes 8 pages like this. It prints out 8 pages like... I'm not sure what it's saying. I've read it twice. I've sent it to people who understand this kind of gobbledygook and asked for translations. And I haven't gotten anything back yet. That's the point. If it weren't for the headline, I would have no idea what this story is about. Now, the two Salon pieces, and we're going to come back. I'm going to get to your phone calls when we get back, but just to let you know, it must stop now. Media cannot allow Trump to make this election about Bill Clinton. The press is allowing Trump to change the conversation from real current issues to 90s era nonsense. So here's Salon telling the media they can't let Trump get away with this. Just after Hillary. I love Salon.com telling the media that they cannot let Trump go after Bill Clinton. It must stop now. Bill Clinton isn't running for president. What he did with his penis 30 years ago is irrelevant, according to Salon.com. Now, what I love, here's Salon telling the media they can't let Trump go after Bill Clinton just days after Hillary told everybody that Bill was going to fix the economy for him. And she was going to put him in charge of the economy, but we can't go after Bill. No. We can't go after Bill this stuff during the 1990s. It's a diversion, and this is a pull quote from the piece. Worse still, we've been down this road already. As Peter King, Republican New York, which is a Trump-hating rhino, by the way, said, we've been here before, and for most it's probably old news that people get a little squeamish about, especially when Trump brings it up in the abstract. He risks making the same mistake Republicans made in 1998 when we got caught up in this stuff. We'll see. Time will tell. Let me get back to the phones. People patiently waiting. Pompano Beach, Florida. Hi, Julie. I'm glad you called. Hi.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you very much.
I am really concerned about Wall Street.
You are?
What if they vote for Hillary just to keep their little game going.
Oh, there's no question that's going to happen. I mean, not just vote for her; they've already underwritten her presidency. Did you hear yesterday's show?
Yes, I did.
$21 million in speech income, 2 years. 2 years, the banks and Wall Street firms and others have paid Hillary $21 million in 2 years for speeches.
Well, I think Trump should talk more about that kind of stuff, too.
Well, give him time. I mean, there's so much Clinton stuff out there. You know, it's like hacking through the jungle. You got to figure out the path you want to go.
Well, you are fabulous. You've kept me going to the last.
Well, aren't you kind? I appreciate that. But really, I mean, and there has to be a timing to this stuff. Like I had some people asking me today, because this Clinton 90 stuff makes a lot of people nervous. Let me be honest. The reason it makes them nervous is because they think it's like the budget deal in 95. They think it blew up in the Republicans' face. And they think that because the Republicans went after impeachment, but they didn't really. They went through the motions, but they didn't. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion before it even got started. The Senate was not going to convict. The Senate wasn't going to take it seriously. So the House impeachment managers put the case together, but nobody's heart was really in it. And now Clinton has come back with the charities and the global initiative, and he's best friends with the Bushes, and he's running all over the world saving people from natural disasters. And they think that they had their lunch handed to them twice. So they think we've been there, done that, and we can't beat Clinton on that. So they just don't go there. I mean, even people emailing me. The point is that I predicted long ago Trump would go there. That it's precisely the kind of thing Trump will zero in on, precisely because it hasn't been done right in his view. Now, the timing. Why do this now? As opposed to, say, in September, October, when the campaign really, really officially kicks off after Labor Day. And that's standard operating procedure. But I think that's being thrown out, too. I think with Trump, you have to throw out everything you know. You have to throw out your experience. You have to throw out the expectations. You have to throw out the formulas because Trump you can't plug him into any of it. So there's a reason why he chose this time to do it as opposed to waiting. And he may go back to it. But I mean, I don't know, folks. I'm thinking it's almost a certainty because it makes so much sense. At some point, he's going to zero in on the speech income. $21 million. And the way he's going to zero in on it, well, I don't know that either. The way I would zero in, here's Mrs. Clinton trying to portray herself as a person of the people, a woman of the people. She can relate to the downtrodden, the homeless, the starving, the thirsty, the dispossessed, the impossessed, or whatever the hell the left describes them as. And she has no more in common with average, ordinary Americans than somebody in Mars. In fact, Mrs. Clinton's whole life has been to distance herself from that. That's why the wealth. That's why the power. Mrs. Clinton doesn't want to be subjected to the laws and the rules that she's going to implement on everybody else. She's one of our betters. Mrs. Clinton can't be bothered by the tedious requirement to obey these little laws that are there to keep all of us in check. They are there to keep us under heel. They are there to make sure we don't follow our worst base temptations. But Mrs. Clinton clearly not subjective. She's such a brilliant, smart person, clearly better. And she has nothing in common with the people she seeks to rule. And her whole life, particularly since the White House years and up to present, proves this. So, going after Mrs. Clinton on the speech income, $21 million in 2 years doing 20-minute speeches, minimum price $225,000. Who can do that? There isn't the best entertainer in the world. The person who has the ability to captivate the most people and either grab them or make them laugh or persuade them can't come anywhere near that. And there's nothing compelling about Mrs. Clinton. She's selling access. She is selling her presidency. Her presidency has been bought. It's been bought by $21 million of speech income from Wall Street banks and Wall Street firms, and then the Clinton Foundation has $100 million in it from foreign sources, such as nations and leaders in foreign countries, foreign corporations, businesses, what have you. I mean, that stuff is sitting duck, just waiting to be hit. And Bernie went after her on it. She will not release the transcripts of any of those speeches. I mean, it's a lot of speeches. It's 2 years worth of speeches, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. What is she saying to these people that makes it? The reason people want to hear what she says is because most people think that if you're being paid $250,000 to do a speech, it must be pretty fascinating what you say. And it isn't. This is the closest thing to no-show work that you can get. She has to go, but it doesn't matter what she says. But I can tell you what it is. Whatever the group, if it's Goldman Sachs, if it's Kohlberg Kravis Roberts, I don't care who it is, she tells them how great they are. She tells them how important they are. She tells them how crucial they are to the economic recovery, the economy as a whole, whatever. That's what she tells them. And she assures them that everything's going to be fine if she's in the White House. And they happily pony up. Individually, and $250,000 for these people, chump change. But if you do enough of these speeches and add it up over 2 years, $21 million. Who can do that? And it's got to be target rich. I'm just being informed that Crazy Bernie is asking for an official recount of the Kentucky primary vote. Excuse me. Is that not great? They want this guy. He's become a fly. You know, a fly. He's on the wall. He's buzzing around the ice cream. He won't leave the fruit plate alone. They want the guy they try to swat him away, and he won't go away. And now he's demanding an official recount for Kentucky. This is going to drive Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz up the wall. She's going to go nuts. Here's Bill in Upper West Side of Manhattan. Great to have you on the program. Hi.
Rush, hi. I feel I'm just alone in a sea of liberals. By the way, I think that maybe a neo-liberal could be like the worst red diaper baby mainstream Democrat that exists these days. Maybe that's what a neoliberal is.
What? A neoliberal, according to this, I looked it up. There is a definition for it. Neoliberal is a liberal that believes in capitalism. I don't know how that could even be a liberal, but that's what this guy calls a neoliberal.
I see. I wanted to call you about this Trump commercial that has Juanita Broderick on it. And just to say that anything about Bill Clinton should now be fair game for the mainstream media and for any talk show and for anybody discussing this kind of thing, in the supermarket or anything like that. And that is because I think it was last week or the week before that Hillary said she's bringing him back into the White House and she's putting him in charge of fixing the economy because he knows how to do it. Of course, that depends on what it is. But that's sort of another issue. In his capacity, God forbid that she gets elected, he will get to meet with the heads of the HR departments. That's personnel departments for your Rio Linda listeners in major Fortune 500 corporations as part of job creation.
As part of running the economy, right?
Exactly. And you may know that in corporate America, one of the first places that women were able to break through that glass ceiling is the HR department. So he's going to have all these babes, surrounding him. And I don't know whether Hillary's going to put in one-way mirrors in some of these conference rooms or what. But she should do that or get some of those surveillance.
What do you mean, so she can spy on him, make sure he's behaving?
Absolutely. If they had the cell phone for Angela Merkel in the Obama White House, she's got to get Bill's, private number there. The other thing I would bring up about this, though, is you may remember, and probably by the end of your mesmerizing 3 hours today, you'll have the soundbite. I think it was the infamous 60 Minutes interview when Clinton was a candidate the first time, and the two of them were there, and they asked Mrs. Clinton about her role, and she said something like, "Well, I'm not going to sit home and just bake cookies."
It's worse than that. She said, "I'm not some Tammy Wynette sitting home baking cookies for my man."
I'd love to hear that. I think they hinted at that interview that he was going to put her in charge of health care, just the way that she is going to put him in charge of the economy. And then they came up with the line, "You see, you get two for the price of one."
Right, the blue plate special.
If Donald J. Trump were to go there, that would be fair game, the fairest of game.
No, it's exact. In fact, you're right on the money, because no sooner does Hillary announce that she's going to put Bill in charge of the economy, to which the reaction is, well, then he should run. If you're going to put Bill in charge of the economy, then why the hell isn't he running, except that he can't? Why are you running? If you're going to put him in charge of the economy, why are you running? But it puts him front and center. And here comes Salon say, "You can't do that," advising the media. You got to leave Bill Clinton alone. But Hillary has brought him back, and he wants to be back. Don't make any other assumption. Clinton loves center stage. He doesn't care whether they're talking about his penis, Lewinsky, or his economy. Anything. He just loves being there. And Hillary is going to. Why did she say she was going to put Bill in charge of the economy, by the way? I'll tell you why. Because there's two reasons. One is that people think the economy of the 90s was nirvana, and that Bill Clinton knew what he was doing, and that's why. And so Clintons are stuck in the 90s, but you have to understand how Hillary is campaigning, to understand how she looks at the world. They're stuck in the 90s. They have all these enemies. The vast right-wing conspiracy hasn't gone away. It's still out to get them. And so the 90s, they think everybody else is focused on the 90s. That's why she makes reference to Clinton running the economy. That's supposed to remind everybody how great it was. She doesn't stop to think that it makes her look incompetent or incapable of running the economy. But it's supposed to also comfort people who think she may not be qualified. I mean, it's a multi-purpose announcement. Bill, I appreciate the phone call, and I feel for you. Stuck where you are there at the Upper West Side, Manhattan. I mean, it's pretty, but the neighborhood. Okay, as I understand it, Crazy Bernie is asking for a recanvass of votes, which is just a review of the total votes as originally tabulated. It's not a full recount per se. I don't know what the difference in a review and a recount is. Recount, I guess, would include a full examination of ballots and machines and so forth. This is just basically retabulating the result. Now, Kentucky, again, as I understand it, and I understand more than most, Kentucky allocates its delegates proportionally, so Sanders would likely only stand to gain one pledged delegate, even if the ultimate winner is amended after the recanvassing. The recanvassing shows he actually won. He picks up one delegate. That's what's at stake here. So it's a lot of window dressing. He's just trying to harass him. He is. He's the fly buzzing around the ice cream at the social on Sunday afternoon. Or the grill or whatever. They just can't. No matter what they do, he won't go away. And that's what he's just trying to irritate him here. Plus Debbie Blabbermouth. Jay in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, you're next. It's great to have you with us on the EIB network. Hi.
Great to be here, Rush. I listen to you all the time because you're as subtle as a cannonball. You are right on.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
But anyway, what I want to talk about is Hillary, Silicone Hillary, who Whitewater doesn't seem to stick, Benghazi doesn't stick, and the Serbians might not stick, and Clarabelle, Bernie Sanders. They're looking for the support of Obama, who was doing the tango in Argentina while people were being blown up in Brussels. Is this the support you want? How do you feel about that, Rush?
You are. Let me see if I can cut to the quick of your question. You're asking me, who do I think Obama's going to support? Crazy Bernie or Hillary?
Really?
That's the question?
Yes.
And what does the fact that Obama was tangoing with a bunch of different authors down there in Argentina have to do with it?
I mean, he's mocking the American people.
Oh, yes. Well, I I think Obama, in that choice, is obviously committed to Mrs. Clinton. Otherwise, she would be in trouble. If Obama really wanted crazy Bernie, he would have done something to show that. Yeah, it depends on who you run into. There are still people who think that Clinton is going to have the boom lowered on her by Obama at some point, and Biden is going to jump in and be the nominee. Because there's supposedly this animosity between the Clintons and the Obamas and so forth. I think that's a pipe dream. I just... The exact opposite at the DOJ seems to me to be what's happening. Fastest 3 hours in media. Roll right on. We're down 2, and we have 1 to go, and we have lots yet to get to. It's the fastest 3 hours in media. You have to listen fast, because I run through things fast, and all continues before you know it. Actually, I've changed my mind. I want to start with numbers 24, 25, and then we'll go back here to number 7 and go in order, all right? Right on. Greetings and welcome back. Rush Limbaugh, subtle as a cannonball. That's what our last caller, Jay in Hyannisport, Massachusetts. How you describe me? Subtle as a cannonball. I think we're very nuanced here. I think we're more nuanced and detailed here than you get anywhere else, but it's rooted in respect for the intelligence of the audience. Well known all 4 corners of the world. So famous, there's a lot of stuff I can't do anymore. But I'm not complaining. 800-282-2882. If you want to be on the program, the email address is lrushbo@eibnet.com. You know, it's beginning to dawn on a number of Bernie supporters that the end is near. And they're having a tough time dealing with it. One of the people having a tough time dealing with it was Maud Behar over at The View. So Bernie shows up there today. The ladies at The View interviewed Senator Sanders. Maud Behar began by saying, Nevada's Democrat Party filed a formal complaint accusing your supporters of inciting actual violence. And now we hear that permits a demonstrator being issued in Philadelphia, which is where the Democrat convention is. Now, you've said the convention's going to be messy. This all sounds very scary to me, Bernie. I must admit, Maud Behar said, it all sounds very scary to me, very ominous. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable. But what are you going to do? I mean, for crying out loud, what do you say to that?
What I say to that, Joy, is there was no violence in Nevada. That place was surrounded with police officers. There was no indication of violence at all. Not one person was touched. You read in the media that chairs were thrown. You have never seen one video of a chair being thrown. That's just not true. What did take place, and which I condemn, people were booing, they were loud, there were some obscenities. That's true. But in fact, there was no violence. Secretary Clinton and I have different points of view on many of these issues. I don't see anything wrong with a vigorous debate.
But Maud is still unsettled. She's still nervous because she thinks that crazy Bernie is going to end up helping elect Trump.
20% of your supporters have said they'll vote for Trump over Clinton. I mean, you just said he's a bigot. What do you say to that? How does it make you feel that your supporters could make him the next president? What?
Joy.
Yeah.
Joy, first, number one,
what?
Don't believe every poll that you see many, many months before a general election. I am a stronger candidate against Trump than Secretary Clinton is, but I will do everything that I can to make certain that Donald Trump is not elected president of the United States.
Bravo, bravo. So the ladies at The View were consoled. And they were calmed down by, once again, the 74-year-old Bernie Sanders, who saw distress on The View and immediately changed his schedule to go there and assure them that he was not going to do anything that would elect Trump. Now, speaking of the 90s playbook, ABC, Good Morning America, co-host George Stephanopoulos speaking with their political commentator, Cokie Roberts, and he said, Donald Trump heading back to the 90s playbook, Cokie. Going back to so many of these issues that were discussed then, the question is, what kind of relevance is it going to have? Meaning all this Lewinsky stuff and the women. What relevance is it going to have for voters now?
A lot of people don't remember these things because they weren't born. But, look, this election's going to come down to how white women vote. And I think that the fact is that women will be very upset if they think that another woman is being blamed for her husband's infidelities. He is coming across as a bully. And the smart thing for her to do is just not engage on this.
All right. What about that? Women, blanket assertion here. Women, white women, Cokie Roberts says white women are going to be the determining factor in the election. That statement might not tick off African American women. And Hispanic women. But that's incidental. The money quote here is, women will be very upset if they think that another woman is being blamed for her husband's infidelities. Now, is that what Trump is saying? Trump's not saying that. Trump is saying she enabled. Trump is referring to Hillary running the bimbo operations unit. This is what women today don't know happened in the 90s. This is what has to be made clear, that Hillary was in charge of or advising the unit that systematically destroyed women who stepped forward to accuse Bill Clinton of abusing them or what have you. It is Mrs. Clinton who has said in this campaign that every woman alleging rape deserves to be believed. It is Mrs. Clinton who has said that every woman alleging sexual harassment deserves to be believed. Yet she ran a unit designed to make sure that none of the women alleging this about her husband were believed. Not only that, she ran the unit that was designed to destroy those women. Those women were reached before they had gone public and were threatened. That's what the Bimbo Eruptions Unit was. I'll tell you who actually ran it. Was a woman named Betsy Wright, one of the confidants from Arkansas. But Hillary was hands-on on all of this stuff because it all goes back to a fundamental question. Bill Clinton was cheating on Hillary Clinton in Arkansas, and Hillary knew it. I want to know, what are women, as Cokie Roberts, white women, I need to know. I need some of you women to call and help me out here. What do you white women think of a woman who knows full well her husband is cheating, doesn't do anything about it, and then systematically tries to harm the women who might come forward and inform people? Cokie Roberts seems to know. She seems pretty confident that women are going to be very upset if they think that another woman's being blamed for her husband's infidelities. So what she's saying is, look, I can criticize my husband for whatever he's doing, but you can't. You better not. It's going to close the ranks family loyalty thing, I guess. But that's not what Trump is saying. Trump is saying that Hillary was actively engaged in whatever action was taken against the women, which is hypocritical. At the least, it's hypocritical. Mrs. Clinton, from a standpoint of modern feminism, the woman is always believed. The guy is the reprobate. The guy is the predator. The guy is always guilty in any allegation. Why is her husband exempt? I think that's where Trump's going with all this, how successful he ends up being at it. Couldn't begin to tell you. John Heilerman and Mark Halperin on their Bloomberg show, with all due respect, a little concerned about polls showing Trump and Hillary in a dead heat. Remember, Trump was supposed to lose in a landslide. If he was to ever get the nomination, it was going to be, he's going to get 20, 30% of the vote. It was going to be fini. She was just going to wrap this up, and a lot of Republicans thought that, too. Now Trump is ahead of or tied in two major polls, and these two guys, it's time to spin.
I think the reality for her is, this is good news. It's a wake-up call. You know, a lot of Democrats said, yeah, when the Clinton campaign says this is going to be a tight race, it's a divided country, a lot of people didn't believe it. I sense now in the Clinton campaign a greater sense of urgency and an ability to raise money and rally support, which they didn't have before. So the fact that they got a wake-up call this early is good.
Oh, yes. See, everything's cool now. Everything's fine. Over the weekend and yesterday morning, the drive-bys were in disarray. And they were very troubled by these poll results. But Halpern and Heilemann have come to the rescue. Hey, it's all good news. This is going to shape Hillary up. You know what? This is going to wake Hillary up. This is going to let Hillary know she doesn't have a slam dunk here. This is going to get her in gear and engaged. And that's where Hillary shines, they hope. Heilemann then added his 2 cents.
It's also good for her because it shows that he's in the race. People will say that's not true. It's obviously true. The biggest problem back in 2012 for the Obama campaign was donors and others thinking, oh, this is in the bag against Romney, and people not being willing to write checks to the super PACs. People will now see Trump coming and say, hey, we got to help Hillary Clinton. And I think once she gets past the Sanders thing, Democrats are going to be more likely to come home if they're afraid Trump can win than if they think that she's got a huge insurmountable lead.
But wait, Trump was never going to win. Remember now, Trump was going to lose in a landslide. Trump was never even going to be close. Now all of a sudden these polls are good news? Oh, yeah. Excellent news for Mrs. Clinton, because this is going to show everybody that Trump can win. This is going to cause Democrats to come home, because Trump is so reviled. Trump is so disgusting. Trump is so hated. And all these people are going to see the precarious nature of the campaign at Trump's tie with Hillary, and it's great, great news. Here's Hillary Rosen on CNN tonight with Don Lemon. And this is rewriting history, too.
I really think any Republican we would be in the same position with right now. When you come down to it, this is a pretty divided country. And so, you know, it is going to be very quickly, I think, a 46-46 race. And like every presidential campaign of the last 4 or 5 cycles, both candidates are fighting over that like middle 6% because they end up being the deciders in this election. So I do think it's going to be close right up to the end. And I do think that's where Hillary Clinton's team always thought it would end up.
See how they're rewriting this? No. Nobody thought this. There's nobody on the Republican side. In fact, many on the Republican side still think Trump's going to lose in a landslide. They still think Trump equals Armageddon. People on the Democrat side, there's no way Trump was going to get anywhere near. But now notice the history review. Oh, well, you know, it's always been a 46-46 race. We've always said it was going to be close. We've always said that it was going to be We've always said a divided country. They did not. They were not. These people are in a state of shock. Folks, I cannot harp enough on the fact that the Democrats never factored on any of this being the case. Hillary Clinton, didn't matter who the Republicans nominated, Hillary was going to be coronated. There wasn't going to be any crazy Bernie. There wasn't going to be any close primary race. And she was going to be leading in the polls from the starting gate in the presidential race. It was all pro forma. It was all taken care of. None of this was in the cards. So now they're having to publicly revise and extend their remarks. We're not surprised. This is exactly where we were all telling everybody it was going to be. Now to Hillary Clinton herself in Detroit yesterday. This is the SEIU International Convention, Service Employees International Union. We have just a couple of sound bites of Hillary remarks there. Here's the first.
The last thing we need is a bully in the pulpit. He could bankrupt America like he's bankrupted his companies.
America is bankrupt. Barack Obama has practically doubled the national debt. We are bankrupt. We don't have any money. The Democrats have proven they know only how to spend it and print it. The next Mrs. Clinton bite.
We are coming to the end of the Democratic primaries. I applaud Senator Sanders and his supporters for challenging us. We are going to get unaccountable money out of politics. We are going to take on the crisis of income inequality. And we are going to unify the Democratic Party and stop Donald Trump.
I can't handle the shouting. I feel like I just can't stand it. and we are going to, and we are going. She's serious. She's going to get unaccountable money out of politics. The woman that raises the equivalent of $5 million a day doing speeches at 2 years and $21 million, roughly $5 million a day doing speeches. Unaccountable money, $100 million in the Clinton Crime Family Foundation for foreign sources. She's going to get the unaccountable money out of politics. And this, folks, this is too rich. Bill Clinton was in Stockton, California yesterday. That's what they say it on PBS. Sacramento and Stockton, they have the same PBS station. I lived out there, and the announcer, this is KVIL, whatever it was they'll call it, Sacramento, Stockton. I never forgot that. So I've always pronounced it Stockton. Sacramento, Stockton. Typical NPR pronunciation school. Anyway, Clinton's out there, and he's trying to assure everybody in California ahead of the primary, don't sweat it, just relax out there. Just relax. Everything's going to be okay.
She has released more than 2 decades of our tax returns, and since we left the White House, we've averaged 40% of our income in taxes. And her opponent, who never tires of telling us how much richer he is than the rest of us, won't release his tax returns. Do you really think he's going to be a force for raising working people's incomes?
He has. People who work for him, people who have worked on his people's incomes that are associated with Trump have gone up. What are you talking about? But this is rich. Bill Clinton, the original braggart on how rich he and Hillary are, out there talking about how funny it is to listen to Trump brag about how rich he is. We put together on the fly here just a little montage from our archive. Because we noticed from the moment Clinton left the White House, he couldn't stop bragging about how rich he was. He couldn't stop telling people, I got more money than I need. Now, I'm flat at pay tax rate I pay. I don't mind. I pay more taxes. If somebody wants to raise my tax rate, have at it. I have more money than I ever need. They brag about how much money they've got. They never stop. And we put a montage together to demonstrate.
Someone like me gets a big tax cut when I don't really need it.
The Republicans used to be so mean to Hillary and me, but ever since we got out and started making money, we're the most important people in America to them. I myself have gotten 4 tax cuts.
We depend on Japan, China, the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, and Korea to loan us money every day of the year to cover my tax cut.
I never talk to anybody, Republican or Democrat, in my maximum tax bracket who believes in this stuff.
We have gone forward with not only huge tax cuts for the wealthiest among us, of course, since my husband's making money, we're in that category.
I still spend about an hour a day trying to study this economy. I want to make full disclosure. I make quite a bit of money now.
Right, there's Trump out there bragging about how rich he is, and these people are the originals. They can't stop reminding everybody about it. Have my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. El Rushmore, the most listened to radio talk show in America. And this is Don in Lake Alfred, Florida. Great to have you on the program. Hi.
Hi, Rush. God, it's great to be with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my subject was kind of what you started out today, talking about the transgender, whatever they call it, LGBT. And my question is this. They're talking about things that go on in private, in bathrooms and showers and stuff. I think you live somewhere on a beach. What happens if 3 or 4 women decide that they are men and they go topless walking down the beach in front of your house?
Well, is
that legal? Or
I think they draw a crowd.
Yeah, but I thought normally they would be arrested for...
I don't think anybody would call the police.
I know I wouldn't. But, I just wondered, what kind of a can of worms is this opening up? I could see, women boxers who say, gee, men fight with no top on. We want to box with no top on.
You've really been thinking about that, huh?
Well, I've been thinking about it since this transgender thing came up because I told my wife, I says...
You've been thinking about topless female boxers ever since the transgender thing came up.
Well, I'm thinking about all the situations...
What'd your wife say when you told her that?
Well, I told her to put her top back on. I don't want to go to sleep with some man, that's exposing himself. So just keep your top on. But as a matter of fact, when I told my wife that Snerdley answered and I got a possibility to be on your show, I think she just quit crying. She knows how long I've been listening to your show, and I've called many, many times. But I got to tell you, I've listened long enough that I've kept a chronology of topics that have been going on for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
And I've made notes about things that...
Isn't it amazing how things repeat?
Well, yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I told Snerdley he not to bring the subject up, but I just read a book that is exactly, and I'm sure you read the book because it was pretty popular.
Well, I read everything, yeah.
But it's exactly what was going on during the 80s and 90s when the Clintons went from the governorship, and then I think...
Right, but topless female boxers, that's unique. That's all you. I mean, that hadn't happened yet. So, kudos. We have Patricia here from Sebring, Florida, who wants to weigh in on Cokie Roberts and her claim that white women are going to elect Hillary because they're not going to like a bully running around doing whatever Trump does to white women. Patricia, hi. Great to have you on the program.
Hey, Rush. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Well, you called for white women to call in, and I am a white woman. I'm 63 years old, so I'm a little younger than Hillary, but I will not be voting for Hillary. I must say, a number of years ago when she was running to get the nomination with Obama, I considered it. I always want to vote for the best person. However, she has done things over the last 8 years that have proven to me she is not presidential material. She cannot be trusted, and she's not strong. In reference to Bill Clinton...
But wait, hold it a minute now. Cokie Roberts, none of that matters. She's a woman. That's all that matters. Women support women. Women are downtrodden.
And I think
women are stepped on. Women are discriminated against. Women stand up for women because of the alignment of men against them. That's not true?
No. I mean, we do have brains. We do think. And again... the biggest thing for me is when she was testifying regarding Benghazi, I cannot see her being commander-in-chief of our military. My dad's a retired Air Force. I grew up a number of years on a military base, and I cannot see her being commander-in-chief when she waves her arm and says, well, what difference does it make? It makes a lot of difference. People are putting their lives on the line in all different areas of our country to protect our freedom. But again, if she were strong... regarding Monica Lewinsky, when she found out about that, she should have kicked Bill Clinton out of the White House, thrown all of his clothes out of the second floor window of the White House, and then she would have been a strong woman.
It was never going to happen.
That shenanigans is ridiculous.
In the first place, a wife can't kick the president out of the White House. It's his official residence. If anybody leaves, it would have to be her. But
I know that, Rush.
It was never going to happen. It was never going. Never ever going to. Look, Patricia. Here's the thing. Serious question. Since you've called and you wanted to talk about this, I know the phenomenon. Clinton himself successfully created and marketed to a group of women known as soccer moms, and it was fantastic to watch this. I mean, it was during the 90s, and Bill Clinton, using feminism, the whole Clinton campaign successfully made a bunch of women believe that he loved them more than their own husbands, that he was more concerned about daily life challenges than their own husbands. They were dubbed soccer moms. Time magazine ran a cover story on the whole phenomenon of soccer moms. They found a woman, a model, to go out there and be a prototype typical soccer mom. They made up the type life. They made up the typecast the group of women and made it look like that was the largest group of single-minded women in America. They were wives and mothers who ferried their kids around all day and had no life for themselves while their husbands were out living the life of Riley. And it was Bill Clinton who was going to save, protect, and defend the soccer moms. And in that instance, there apparently were a whole bunch of women that bought into that and had groupthink over it. And I've been fascinated by it because women don't know, we don't think alike. We're not. You can't typecast us this. But Clinton pulled it off. And they're clearly trying to, again, not under the soccer mom meme, but women are bullied by men. Trump is a bully. Therefore, all women are going to unite against Trump, no matter what. Because
well, I originally went into this with the idea of voting for Jeb Bush. I thought he made an excellent governor. However, when he was so strong in favor of Common Core, I thought, Jeb, you are out of touch. You have never helped a 5th or 6th grader with their homework, as I have a friend's child. And again, out of touch. Children are not learning basics, okay? They're confused, they're frustrated, and they're not learning, and sometimes they're just giving up. But anyway, throughout all of this, I've been paying attention. I listened to some of the talk shows off and on, but I must say that I am supportive of Donald Trump. He's proven to be successful, and yes, when you are successful, you also have losses. There's no way anyone can succeed in life without sometimes losing and failing, because otherwise you're doing nothing. If you don't ever fail, you do nothing.
Right.
So I believe if you follow someone that is successful, that surrounds himself with successful people, that helps bring other people up, and also our country, the most important thing is our national security and our economy. Without those two things, we are nothing. We cannot help anybody, not only in this country, but in the world.
I'm sure Cokie Roberts doesn't think there are very many women like you out there. You're talking about things that the average woman is not interested in, and doesn't care about. According to Cokie Roberts, most women are going to unite around Hillary because Hillary is one of them. White woman put upon by her predatory or cheating husband or what have you. It amazes me the way leftists assign groupthink to all of the groups that they end up counting as supporters. You know, you get Patricia. Thanks for the call. You haven't talked about this today, but Bill Cosby is going to stand trial. Bill Cosby, what did he do? Cosby was doing all this back in the 90s when Clinton was. Here's Salon.com coming along and saying, you media people, you got to stop Trump from going there. We can't go back to the 90s. What Bill Clinton did with his penis is nobody's business in 2016. We got to broom it and get it. With Bill Cosby, that's all we're concerned about. We're going to take the guy to trial. We're going to try to get a guilty verdict. We're going to put all the Cosby women, who's done it? Is it Time Magazine? Somebody. New York Magazine has got all the Cosby women on the cover. Bill Cosby, he's not even running for president. 58 women that have alleged that Cosby sexually harassed him or worse, whatever, doped him, gave him the date rape drug and had at it. And so all those women's pictures are on the cover of New York Magazine. But with Bill Clinton, here comes Slate.com saying, you better leave a salon, whoever. You better leave that alone. You drive-by media people. You better not go there. That's old. It's irrelevant. Why is it relevant for Bill Cosby? Why does it matter to us what Cosby did? And to whom? If it doesn't matter about Clinton. Cosby never ran for office. Cosby never wanted to be president. Plus, well, never mind. What does it matter? Why do they want to take down Bill Cosby? Well, the answer is very obvious. Feminism to the rescue here. But, you know, feminism has let women down every incident involving Bill Clinton. Feminism has not been there. Feminism has not been defending the women involved with Bill Clinton. In fact, feminism has joined with Hillary Clinton trying to destroy those women. I have two things left I want to touch on. Both I've talked about, plus maybe get some more phone calls in. Got to take a break, obscene profit break. We'll be back with much more after this. We have a guy from Albuquerque on the phone. Jay, is there something going on with Trump out there right now today? Is that what you're talking about?
Right now today, Rush.
What's
Albuquerque.
happening?
He's at the convention center. He's appearing here at 7:00 this evening. I came about 8 hours early so I could get on the scene and take a look at the gathering of folks. And it's palpable, Rush. It's palpable, the activity, the people. And I've never seen so many normal people gathered in the center of Albuquerque as I am seeing today.
And this is for a Trump rally at the convention tonight. Is that what you're...
Trump rally at the convention center. And the interesting thing is, you know, he's been shunned by the Republican leadership of New Mexico. The Trump campaign had to dig around and find a different brand of conservative than most people are talking about these days. It seems like everybody's got some sort of lock on conservatism as to what it is. And in some people's book, it just does not fit Donald Trump. But
well, Jay, how's he being shunned by the Republican leadership out there? How does that?
Well, prime example, the governor, Susana Martinez, has stated publicly that she's too busy to attend the rally or to even meet with Donald Trump while he's in town. I think that's a serious slap in the face at the many, many Republicans that came to elect her, as well as a number of Democrats who crossed the line to elect her, and many of whom I'm sure will be supporters of Donald Trump.
Well, I know she endorsed Rubio, but he's out. He's out of the race. So is everybody else out of the race. She's refusing to attend this thing. And now, is this a Trump rally at the? There's no New Mexico Republican Party event tonight, is it? It's just a Trump rally.
No, it's a Trump rally, and there's going to be thousands of people here.
Right. It's not till tonight, but people are already lined up to make sure they get in. And Susana Martinez is not going to go.
Susana Martinez, what she was quoted as saying on the local radio shows is she's too busy.
Wow. Okay.
Too busy. So it's. I think it's kind of a shame. I called the local folks yesterday and let them know my opinion of that. But
the reason I took your call, I've got the TV monitors on, and I've seen there's been some stuff with Susana Martinez on TV today, and I didn't know what it was about because the Chiron graphics just say she endorsed Rubio, but it didn't say anything else, and I wasn't able to listen to it obviously because I'm hosting. So you have filled in the blanks. I don't know. I guess I'm a little surprised by it. But if she hasn't endorsed him, then I guess it would make sense that she would stay away. We'll see what happens here. It's still early. Thing doesn't start for a few hours now. The amazing thing is it starts 7 o'clock tonight, and there's people already, more normal people in the center of Albuquerque than this guy's ever seen. What kind of people are normally there? If there's more normal people in the center of Albuquerque today. Jay, I appreciate the call. Folks, I teased this, and I better get to it. It's not that big a deal. That's why I've saved it to last. Hurricane season is June 1st. The drive-bys, this is the setup, have been disappointed. There hasn't been a Hurricane Katrina since Hurricane Katrina. This is from AccuWeather. We love AccuWeather, but I just want to share something with you. Tropical system may brew near southeastern U.S. coast Memorial Day weekend. That's weekend to come. Is that this coming? It is. No, it's this weekend. Memorial Day it is. Memorial Day is a week from yesterday. Anyway, conditions, that's what I mean. This month is going by, the year is zooming by here. Anyway, conditions will become favorable for tropical development over the Atlantic Ocean in the vicinity of the southeastern United States toward the end of May and into early June. Now, when you read the headline, you think, my God, there's a storm out there. And it may actually become tropical. No, there's nothing out there. All that's out there is conditions that are favorable for a storm forming. But they've got a graphic. They've got two arrows, one aiming Florida, one aiming North Carolina. Big arrows with a giant red potential development area. Waters in the area are sufficiently warm enough and winds aloft are light enough to initiate and sustain a tropical system, said AccuWeather hurricane expert Dan Kutlowski. Now, again, we like AccuWeather. Don't anybody now haul off and start telling them it's ripping them. But there isn't a storm. There's no circular development. There's no low pressure area. All there is light wind and warm water. And that means conditions are favorable for the formation of a storm. Typically, very early season tropical storms begin as non-tropical storms or subtropical hybrid storms. This is a possibility in this case. People from Florida to Georgia, Carolinas, Bahamas may want to keep an eye on the tropics in the coming days. We do every day. That's part of living here. Now, folks, for a day where there's absolutely nothing in the news, this was one hell of a show, right? Just imagine how good these shows are when there's news out there. There was nothing in the news today that's worth shouting at, but we made lemonade out of whatever it is out there, and we do it every day. We'll see you tomorrow.